Welcome back to another episode of Average Joe's React. Today we're going over episode 6 of The Last of Us. Chris, Joe, and Azaz here. Chris, take it away.
All right, so the show starts off with Joel and Ellie kind of in a cabin holding up two old people. And the people are Marlon and Florence, played by Graham Greene, love him, and Elaine Miles. I don't think I've ever seen her or anything, but Graham Greene's probably one of my favorite old Indian actors. And they get information from those two on where they are on the map and where they need to go. And the old people say, hey, go to towards this river. It's the River of Death. Nobody comes back from the River of Death, so we can't tell you what's over there. They just leave bodies of dead people and infected people. So they start heading towards the River of Death, and they have to camp out for the night. And you see a really good bonding moment kind of on screen. This is the next day, but you see a really good bonding moment where Joel and Ellie are talking about what they would do if her magic blood cured the world. He said he would be a sheep farmer. She said she wanted to go to space. I think the joke ended up being later that she would be a sheep farmer on the moon. I only watched it twice. My memory sucks. So, and once they wake up and go about towards the River of Death, they come across a patrol party led by who we end up finding out to be Tommy's wife. And in this patrol party, they bring a dog out that apparently could sniff infected people. And Joel passes just fine. And then he starts having a panic attack for the second time in this episode when the dog starts going towards Ellie because he thinks that she's going to show up as infected because of her bite on her arm. She doesn't. The dog ends up loving her. Love this scene. Love the dogs. Sucker for puppies. But the leader ends up taking it back because I think she recognizes Joel from probably stories that Tommy has said. The two brothers reunite. They in a bar and have a little disagreement because Tommy didn't reach out to him because his wife, as far as I could tell, says not to cut off or to not use radios. So those two get in a fight, and Tommy's wife ends up kind of befriending Ellie a little bit. I thought it was cool. They made her a lawyer, and now she's like this leader of this community, the communist community, and as she said they were. And then they go to movie night, and Joel and his brother Tommy end up talking in their own separate scene, just those two. And Joel ends up telling him, hey, I'm old. I can't do it anymore. Can you take the girl? She's immune. I saw it happen. She got bit. Nothing happened. It was months ago. And in the next scene, Joel's going to tell Ellie, hey, Tommy's going to take you the rest of the way. And they end up getting in a fight. She pulls the I'm not your daughter card, which I think didn't really help the situation. Although I think it helped them get past it, because I think it helped Joel get past his reservations of the whole letting someone in. Because even though you could tell he loved Tess, he didn't let her in. There was always that wall. And they end up fighting and going their separate ways for the night. In the next scene, the next morning, Joel says that beats them all to the stables, and he's like, I was gonna steal this horse and go on about my way. He's like, but I'm gonna give you an option. Come with me or go with Tommy. She throws a bag at him, says, no, I'm going with you. It's over. It took seconds. Everything resolved. You see over the next 5 minutes this really good bonding conversation between Joel and Ellie, where they're just kind of picking fun at each other. He's answering questions on things like football and sports ball and all sorts of just random stuff from back in the day when we had everything like we do nowadays. They end up to the Colorado State campus, I think it was, and they find the they find the building abandoned, so the Fireflies aren't there. They've moved on to, they assume, Salt Lake. They end up getting attacked. Joel defends Ellie. We see what I would consider the Joel kind of they were expressing early on in episode 1, like why people are afraid of him. He gets stabbed. I don't know why he just didn't leave it in there until they can get somewhere to take it out, but whatever. And they get away from this little bandit party, and Joel collapses, and Ellie has a moment where she's like, hey, I can't do this. Don't leave me. End of video. Credits. And like I said pre-show, I thought this episode was fucking amazing.
This episode might have been the best one.
Yeah.
It's between this episode.
The bloater is pretty crazy.
8 was pretty good.
Yeah, just the world building in this episode up to this point, I think was the best that we'd seen in the show.
Yeah, I mean, this episode did have a lot going on as well, and I definitely I like the character development with like Joel, Ellie, and Tommy in the community.
Out of the 9 episodes, the viewers rate this episode 6th out of 9 with an 8.9 out of 10.
Yeah, I loved it.
Number 1 is episode 5.
That has to be because the last couple of minutes.
That last 10 minutes went crazy.
Yeah.
Other than that, it was a bunch of walking and talking.
Then I'm pretty sure everybody had a soft spot for the little boy.
Nah, I'm cold-hearted. Nah, but yeah, I just loved the Tommy settling down, the Joel opening up finally, and Ellie like finding out and realizing that Joel had a daughter, and it kind of opened her up in a way, so she wasn't like the pompous brat towards him.
Yeah.
Up until this point, Ellie was just a task left by Tess.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing more.
He even states it.
On the outside, that's what he was saying, but on the inside, I feel like it was different.
All right, so this first clip is one of the first ones I thought was pretty important in the show.
Woke up early. You were passed out, so I took second watch.
You gotta wake me up if that happens.
I can, because I just did.
I'm responsible for you, okay?
Then don't fall asleep. I was quiet. I checked my sticks. I looked for tracks. I found the high ground, and I kept watch, like you taught me to.
Yeah, her kind of saying or showing that she can learn and listen to what he was saying and actually doing it without him like holding her hand, I think was big for him.
Yeah, I mean, it helps show that she's not just a liability and she can actually be of use, especially going through the open country.
Yeah, but he's not going to view it as that still.
Yeah, but I mean, for us, like, foreshadowing a little bit here.
Yeah.
That Ellie can hold her own.
Yeah, like you said, not be that third wheel. She can actually be a stand on her own person right beside her instead of just something he's dragging along.
And he got some rest too, because I think the last few times in the episodes where they've had to stop, he was pretty much awake most of the time. I mean, it's off screen, but it can be implied.
Yeah, I mean, even he said in this one, I'll take the first and second watch like normal.
Yeah.
So it's just showing how like little sleep he's getting, and that's gotta suck when it's that cold out. So old people need sleep, man. All right, and this
young people need sleep.
You don't need shit. Young people are just fine. So this next one was the dog scene I talked about. fucking windows. You see the panic in his eyes right there.
All that he's thinking is how he's gonna kill everybody.
Saved my life there.
Uh-huh.
Joel don't really panic. He's processing at this moment.
No, I think right.
He's playing it out in his head on what his next move's gonna be if that dog barks.
That's the face of panic.
Yeah, I think he was a little
Like-
stressed out there, like, oh shit,
He's
she's gonna get
looking
caught.
at that man's hip like, is his hand on the trigger? What's going on here?
I mean, he is surrounded, and there are people, you know, throwing weapons at him. So
Yeah. So in the next scene, it's just like 15 seconds, but I think it's the most important part of these two kind of building their bond, where she had to save him and he's kind of explaining this to Tommy.
You know, she saved my life there. From another kid. 5 years ago, I would have destroyed him. But she had to shoot him to save me.
Everybody fucking.
I love that scene, by the way. When he tells her to get out and then he like does whatever to that kid.
yeah, I mean, yo, that scene was crazy too. And
Uh-huh.
he talks like he was getting like beat up in that scene, but in reality, though, the guy came from behind him, so the guy already had the, you know, upper hand on him. But he says like 5 years ago I would have destroyed him. It's like, bro, I mean, he got snuck up on.
Yeah, I mean 5 years ago though, he might have been able to.
Struggling a bit.
Yeah. Now, what you say, Joe?
He was talking about how he was struggling a bit.
Yeah.
5 years ago, he probably would have just tossed that kid.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that's kind of what he meant too. Not like he was getting his ass whooped, but
Yeah.
that he would have
Well,
been
I mean,
able to fight
even-
back sooner.
Even with that scene though, after you know, Ellie shoots the kid, and then the next scene when they're hiding out in the little building or whatever, and like Joe actually feels some sympathy for. He's like, you know, at your age, you shouldn't be experiencing all this and all that stuff. So you can tell he's from that episode, like it's like, all right, he's starting to care about her a little more. And over here, it's like, yo, he actually cares about this girl.
Yeah, but this scene right here was probably the best. I don't know, 2 minutes I think of the entire episode, in my opinion, because he's just laying it out for Tommy. He's like, I'm old, I'm broke, I can't do it. This girl can save us all. And
Yeah, but
that
he's putting Tommy in a very difficult situation
know.
by doing that, because Tommy's wife's also expecting.
Mhm.
Yeah. Which I think we find out in the episode when Ellie's looking at the fireplace, the thing on top, right? The memorial stuff that they got. Is when we find out that his wife's pregnant.
No, he tells him in the bar.
Oh, okay.
He-
Yeah.
yeah.
You see a memorial to Sarah.
Yeah, but he says in the bar, he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna be a dad," and that's kind of why they got in why they got in a little fight,
Yeah.
because Joel still doesn't know how to process that, and I don't think Tommy fully realized what he was saying to his brother at the time.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's also like, yo, you would bring a kid into this world?
Tommy's also not as savage as Joel.
You gotta survive, though. I mean,
Well,
you can't just
you
not.
say that. You say he's not a savage, but when they talk about Joel and Tommy, they've both done some pretty messed up shit.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Even in
but
this episode, they talk about it.
Tommy didn't know how to build that wall to like block all that stuff out, and it like messes with him. Joel's just
Yeah.
like, I'll beat the shit out of anybody. Don't give a fuck.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even in the first episode, he picked when the one lady was like, "I can't do it," and he picks up the kid and just dead face, just
tosses.
yeah.
He's able to block all that shit out.
He doesn't feel that pain.
Well, he already had that pain whenever he lost Sarah, and now he's just a black hole of nothingness.
He's on autopilot.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. Then we kind of get the connection thread of these two building their relationship.
Everybody fucking except for you.
with somebody else because the truth is, I was just being more scared.
Ah, look at that face. Oh,
Hey, that
oh.
that scene was deep though. That whole scene, her whole
Mhm.
little rant over there, that was pretty deep though. It's like, damn, she actually like that's a father figure to her now, and you know he's just trying to leave her like that. And he
He's
has a
looking,
realization too, but he's trying to make because she goes like, "I'm not your daughter," and he goes like, "Yeah, you're not," or whatever.
Yeah.
But he
he's
didn't really mean
he's
it.
looking right now like if that was my daughter,
It's the processing how he's gonna end the situation.
he'd be like, "What the five fingers say to the face?"
Smack.
Bro. I mean, though, like, yo, in this scene, you could tell, like, all right, bro, she's not a liability to him anymore. There's actually a bond, and like, there's that father-daughter relationship.
Yeah, I think this is where he finally gets past it, where the wall gets knocked down. You know, because
Yeah.
it started with his brother in the bar, continued with his brother in the leather repair shop or whatever, and then I think this is the final push.
He's pretty angry still right here.
Oh yeah, I mean you could see it. Yeah, she pulled the "You're not my dad" card.
You're not my dad.
Uh-huh.
I was trying to say something.
I know I'm not your daughter.
Motivated.
56 years old, you little shit. All right, I don't know what's next, but let's just watch it and react.
You deserve a choice.
Oh yeah,
Still think you'd be better off with Tommy.
Let's go.
Hey, you know what's crazy?
no hesitation.
Yeah, she doesn't let him explain that he thinks that she would be better off with Tommy.
Hey,
I
before I
loved
even
it
talk about the scene,
right there.
you know what's crazy? Harmon, you're gonna be 56 when Cora's 14, right?
Place for you here.
Maybe
No,
Joel and Ellie. Maybe Joel and Ellie for real.
it should be 16.
Ah, okay, close enough.
Counting on it.
Yeah, I put these two together because I think they were just. I know there's a little bit more that happens here. They talk about like the gun but just watching the two brothers say bye after that, after everything that's happened in this episode,
Well,
There's a place for you here. Both of you. Counting on it.
Woke up early.
coming back. That's all I heard right there. Coming back.
Hey, so one thing I don't like about it's the same thing with every episode. It's the thing with HBO, bro. I don't know why HBO does this, where they can break these episodes into two, but they fit everything into one episode. And I'm like, that whole it's the same thing as before, where they introduce a character in the episode, and that same character is gone in the same episode.
Oh, episode
we got-
5.
Well, we got Tommy. Yeah, I mean, same thing with episode 5. It was the same thing with Bill and Frank. Like,
Mhm.
we got Tommy this episode. We find out who he is.
3.
No, I'm saying Bill and Frank was episode 3, but episode 5 was
Henry and his brother.
the
Henry and Sam, I think.
well, there's Henry and Sam.
Technically got introduced
Marlene.
at the end of episode 4.
Kinda.
Count.
You didn't see their face until episode 5.
And Marlene doesn't play a really big role in their journey. She plays a big role at the end, but not at the. She plays a role at the beginning, not really there during it, but she plays a role at the end.
Yeah, but I feel like they could do a lot more if they just break these
Marlene
episodes
got-
up.
Marlene got her own priorities. She set Joel on the mission. She got to worry about the other Fireflies.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying the episode, like, we got Tommy this episode. We learn who Tommy is. You know, there's real good character development. Like, he's a solid character in the show, especially in this episode.
Saw Tommy in episode 1.
And then you never see him again. Yeah, for like 20 minutes.
You don't.
But
It's
I feel
accurate.
I feel like they could do a lot more with the show. It's just one of my pet peeves about it. It's like, yo, you introduce a character in the same episode, that character is gone. It's like, bro, come on now.
Like instead of making it like 9 or 10 episodes, they can make it like 12 or 13.
Yeah.
And just a little bit more story.
Yeah, and especially episode 9. That could have been broken down into 2 episodes so easily.
I don't know if I would.
Dude, episode 3 could have been 2 episodes. Should have been
Yeah.
2.
But episode 3 had a lot of like creative content, so you know it didn't really follow the game.
Look,
as
they're
much.
being creative with the story, but also I'm pretty sure they probably only had so many episodes that they were allowed to work with, like so much airtime. So they had to come up with the most
Well,
creative way to introduce key points of the story.
yeah,
Because I
it's
mean,
because that's what freaking
Tommy's not in the,
HBO does. Like they,
Marlene's not in the game very long. Brief instances. Tommy's not in the game very long. Brief instances. Like you don't need to expand. See, this is where the only issue is. They expanded on Bill and Frank, but didn't expand on other characters.
Mm-hmm.
well, it's a show as well. So in the game, you're playing as the same character 24. Well, the same two characters
Right.
24/7. But in the show, you need more content because you're building a whole world. Game of Thrones is the same thing with the last few seasons. House of the Dragon, I mean, House of the Dragon season 1 was killer, but they could have made that
But
longer.
how much of a world do you need to build if you're trying to stay true to the game along with keeping key aspects in? Because I mean,
I don't know. That
the game is Joel and Ellie. It's
the
Joel and
game
Ellie
is
versus
Joe and
Laura.
Eddie, but in the game, how many times do you respawn because you got killed by infected? We
Yeah,
barely
but
get any infected in the show.
all these characters you meet, you only meet for a very short amount of time, so they kind of kept it real to the
Yeah.
game by doing that in the show.
But that's the world building they could do. They could build more on these characters. You don't got to take them like along with you along the whole story, but
But they would have to have a plan outside of what happens in The Last of Us game and The Last of Us 2 because they still have to stay true to The Last of Us 2. So there is story in The Last of Us 2
do they?
that some of this plays along to.
You know what though? I haven't
They
played.
would. If
I
you wanna
haven't played
build-
part 2.
If you want to build more on some of these characters, they would have to outlive part 2 of The Last of Us because if you're trying to make this like a 3 seasons or 4 seasons, now you're just going completely off a whim because there is no Last of Us 3 game and nobody's developed a story for that.
Yeah, that's why you make the first video game two to 3 seasons, and then second video game 2 to 3 seasons, and you expand it out.
I'm gonna tell you right now, 1 season for the first game is perfect because the first game, if you've never played it, you're on your own a lot. A lot.
Well, yeah, it's a video game. I mean, you're gonna be on your own a lot, but in a TV series, you could at least put some depth to the characters that you meet.
I feel like they put a lot of depth to the characters compared to what you get in the game from the characters.
They probably did. I get what Ahmed's saying. They could add a little bit more. You don't gotta go crazy. Maybe like 1 or 2 episodes.
Hey, just
I mean,
more story.
spoiler
Just,
alert, this isn't the last you're gonna see Tommy. Not the last you're gonna see Tommy. You're gonna see Tommy more in season 2.
I gotta play part 2 as well though, because
Maybe.
after this ends, I'm lost.
Depending on what route they go season 2, Tommy and Joel, very important for about, I'd probably say maybe 2 or 3 episodes.
I know what happens in 2. It was all over the internet.
Well, then why don't you ruin it? What happens in 2?
Should I go get my golf clubs? Do you know Ahmed?
I don't.
Oh, well,
Well-
you're in for some heartbreak because it happens pretty early.
We'll talk about this after this episode.
I'll probably buy or hopefully PlayStation releases it for free, but because I played part 1 for free because I had PS Plus.
Popularity of this game, Sony's seeing cha-ching, cha-ching.
Yo,
Well, not 2.
it was on the front page of the PlayStation Store for like at least a month straight.
Cha-ching,
Yeah, people were buying it like crazy once the show came out.
Maybe 1, not 2.
Honestly, the second game is not as good as the first. You don't just play as Ellie. You jump around characters. You
Oh,
play as
okay.
characters, so it's not as
Not Joel.
enjoyable in that respect.
Ah.
Yeah.
Whew.
Main
Cough.
Ellie.
No.
I'm starting to think Joel gets killed.
Maybe.
So,
maybe,
It's sounding like it.
maybe he takes a vacation from the sheep farmer.
That's from a sheep farmer. All right, what would you give this? What would you give this cut? This ep?
Episode 6, man. This was a solid episode, and it
Maybe
was
like
one of the
8.2.
8.8 to 8.5, maybe even a 9. Touching a 9, maybe high 8s.
I'll give Ahmed an 8.9. I obviously I love this episode. But
The episode is really good.
I gave it a 9 easy just because the world building and the character development that we saw. It's the first time we saw true development of characters. Not just, oh, we're kind of bonding and getting to know each other while Tess is crawling around the building. Alright. But that'll end this episode. It's episode 6. If you guys like what you saw, please share, like, subscribe, comment below, find us on Discord. And till the next episode, bye-bye. Me, Izaz, and Joe, thank you for watching this episode of Average Joe's Reacts. If you like what you saw, please like, share, comment, subscribe, do all the things. Until next time.